My trip to the US was so interesting and long. I left Yaoundé, Cameroon to Gabon, from Gabon to Ethiopia, from Ethiopia to Italy, and to my final destination, Washington, D.C. I slept on the plane, read and ate the food that was served to me by the hostesses. In Gabon, we were served rice and chicken with bean salad and a cup of Fanta. I later on took a cup of coffee because I felt sleepy, and I didn't want to sleep. We arrived in Italy on Wednesday in the morning, and we were given breakfast. OMG, it was so horrible. I ate just the cake. My flight to Ethiopia was 13 hours. Chai. I slept, thank God, that we were given blankets, socks, and gloves. 'Cause the plane was cold. I almost thought I would freeze. The most exciting part is when we got to Ethiopia and we had to change the plane. When we all checked out of the plane, buses were brought to transport us based on your final destination. OMG, the Ethiopian airport is so big. It's almost like a town. That's why buses were there to transport people from the plane deposit to the airport office. I boarded my bus and we finally reached the airport office. When I got there, I almost got missing. I started looking for my gate, which was a 17. My advice to you is that when you are traveling and you get to the airport, ask questions. Thank God that the airport officers are always there to help you out. That's how I asked for help and the officer showed me the way. I had to run before reaching the gate. That's how people were running to board their next flight. All the running was because the plane that dropped us in Ethiopia arrived late. And so the time for the next flight had arrived. So I finally saw my gate after running, but they check you before you enter the plane. You remove your shoes, socks. If you were wearing a belt, you remove it. Even a watch. You will then enter a machine for thorough scanning. I later did all of that and I entered the plane. Initially, I thought the plane was going to Washington, D.C. directly, but it stopped in Italy to board passengers. There in Italy, we spent almost an hour. After we continued our 15-hour journey to Washington, D.C., CA, I slept, read my book, read my Bible, and slept. But the plane was comfortable and cozy. We had blankets, socks, TV, earpieces, and pillows. Later on, Wednesday reached, and we were still on the plane. The hostesses were all Ethiopian, and they were generous and very beautiful. We ate breakfast. We did all the morning routine in the plane. We were given toothpaste and toothbrushes, with a towel. There was a modern toilet in the plane where you could do all those things. The only disadvantage was that there was no connection on the plane. I only received messages when we were at the Ethiopian airport, cause some airports have free Wi-Fi. See, the plane felt comfortable like a room. You could move up and down. People in the plane slept. The plane was so large and big, it was divided into the economy and business section. I was in the economy section. I had good neighbors. I had a German, an Ethiopian, French, and Chinese. All my other Cameroonian people were on the left-hand side, while I was on the right side of the plane. I watched movies on TV. We closed all the windows and switched off the lights in the plane. It looked like a cinema. You could see only the lights from the television. I almost forgot this one. When the plane was taking off, I felt like you were falling from a tall building. Then when it's landing, it's like you are in a car that is moving with no brakes. You feel like someone is pushing you from behind. We later arrived in Washington, D.C. at 8 a.m., while in Cameroon it was 1 p.m. The airport in America is beautiful. When I came out of the plane, the breeze that welcomed me felt directly from the source. That was all for my plane experience. I will continue my experience in Washington, D.C. later. See you later.